Welcome to episode. Actually, I don't know what episode this is going to be yet. Welcome to an episode of Salsidoparanormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I'm continuing my review of the Twilight Zone TV series. As always, you can find all episodes of the show, along with links to social media and other ways to contact me, at the podcast page, and that is salsidoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions or accounts of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or from others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. Thank you all for listening, whether you are here for the live recording streams on Discord, or if you listen to the podcast or YouTube feeds, or on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. There you can hear replays of 2 episodes of my show every night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right before Michael Strange and Troubled Minds Radio comes on. And as always, I want to thank Michael Strange for having me on the network and putting my shows up there. If you'd like to support my show, there are many ways to do that. You can always share the show with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platform. You can find books I've written over on Amazon, paranormal fiction and nonfiction, including my most recent release, Salsido Paranormal Experiences. You can sign up for the Patreon page and get all the previous episodes that I've recorded for just for that page, that feed, as well as whatever I'm able to do in the future. You can also just send one-time donations through PayPal. Support is never expected, but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows, from equipment to research materials to travel expenses in some cases. So I believe that takes care of everything with all of that. And again, we are into the beginning of Season 2 of the Twilight Zone, reviewing that TV series. And so far, it's been really fun noticing the connections between the fictional events that are covered in these TV shows, that the writers write about, the stories are about, and reports of anomalous things that happen in the real world. That has been a lot of fun so far to find those connections, and I enjoy that process. And there usually, I don't think I've found one yet where we couldn't at least make one minor connection. And a lot of them, they have some major similarities with events that have been reported, like as I said, in the real world. So, moving on to the episode 3 of season 2. If I could get my words together there. And this episode is called, let me see here, Nervous Man in a $4 Room. Keep in mind, this is from the early 1960s here, so they are talking about a hotel room, which is amazing. But so, getting to the story here, this is about a man named Jackie Rhodes. He is an unsuccessful gangster, basically, and he's waiting in this room for instructions from his boss, George. So George gives Jackie a gun and orders him to shoot a bar owner who has refused to pay for protection. Excuse me. And basically an organized crime that kind of deal. And Jackie is very nervous about this mission. He begs George for any other job, but George refuses and sort of beats Jackie up to convince him to go through with the job, and then leaves. And so Jackie's trying to figure out what to do, and he starts talking to his reflection in the room, in the mirror in the room, trying to work himself up to committing murder and to justify it. And when he goes to light a cigarette, he can't find a match. And there is, at that point, a puff of smoke that comes from the other side of the mirror. So here we have the like I said, the connection here, mirrors. We've talked about this before, how they seem to be able to gather and or absorb and or send out energy. They seem to be possibly portals to other, I don't know, dimensions or other realms or other places, basically, that beings, that entities can use to travel through. But in this case, I lost my spot, so let me just kill some time there while I figure out where I'm at. Okay, there we go. Actually, never mind. And so a puff of smoke appears from the other side of the mirror, and he sees a different version of himself. And this other version of himself is just about an opposite of what he is. Very strong, very confident, and self-assured, and not at all like what he is in the show's version of the real world. So at that point, he's just thinking it's in his mind, but he's still sort of just goes with it for a time. Jackie and his reflection start talking about what he's supposed to do. They have this big argument about how his life has turned out as a result of going along with peer pressure, basically breaking under peer pressure, and never standing up for himself. And finally, Jackie's double tells him that he, the double, this other version of him, wants to take over. That it's his turn to run their life, and that he deserves to live. And Jackie argues against this, but still can't decide what to do. So at some time later, George calls Jackie again. It calls Jackie on the phone, and to find out if Jackie is on his way to the job. And of course, Jackie says, "Yeah, I'm leaving right now." And his double reappears and tries again to persuade him to let the double out. And he knows that if Jackie goes through with this murder, he will die along with the real or the regular version of Jackie. And so at that point, Jackie spins the mirror on its frame to get away from the reflection of himself there. And as it spins, he backs away from it, because every time that mirror appears again, the double is getting bigger and bigger in the image on the mirror. And then of course the show fades out for a moment, and George comes back, and he's furious that Jackie has not done the job and killed this barkeep. And at this time, you see that Jackie is a little bit different. And when George tries when George asks him what happened, why he didn't go through with the job, and tells him, "You're going to do the job," Jackie refuses. And so this is where you realize this other version of himself has taken over. And he actually turns the tables on George and beats him up and kicks him out of the room. And kicks George out and tosses the gun. Luckily, it's not loaded, I'm guessing. Tosses the gun after him. And of course, George is shocked at this. So at this point, Jackie, turns out his name is not really Jackie, it's John. So he calls himself by his given name, sort of as a sign of him being different now. And he checks out of the hotel. And he looks at the mirror, which is still in the room. And in the mirror is that other version of himself. That insecure, that sort of the version that was there before when the show started there. And so the version in the mirror asks what is going to happen next, what they're going to do next, what their plan is next, and they say they're going to go to get a job. So basically, they're going to get out of crime. And so yeah, it's really, the show is really well done, as I always say. So far, I haven't really found any that I didn't like at all. And that's where that episode ends. And so you have to wonder, is that, or at least I do, how did that happen? Was it other versions? Was it really just parts of that individual's personality showing up in the mirror? Yeah. Also, DG in the chat, physical manifestations of mimic. I don't know. But it's there are so many reports of whatever is in a mirror appearing to be different. And even I've heard, and it's rare, I haven't come across a ton of reports of this, but I feel like I've heard a couple here and there of people looking in the mirror at their own reflection and having it act differently than themselves. It is. I think I may have only heard of this like a couple of times ever, but I wonder if that's where sort of the writers for that show got the idea from. I always wonder too with these shows how much research do they do as they're trying to figure out what to write for these fictional TV shows. How much research have they done into possibly anomalous things, paranormal, whatever you want to call it, unexplained, supernatural? How much knowledge do they have of these things, or do they not have any knowledge of it, and somehow tap into whatever it is, wherever it is that we get ideas from, and those ideas that are out there, apparently, because the people get them, people find them and use them in these kinds of shows. I always wonder about that. Have they done any research into or had experiences with the paranormal, and do they use them to make those shows, those stories? That's something I always wonder about, and there's no way to know for sure with that. But it wouldn't surprise me if it's a bit of a mix of everything. Some writers maybe have had experiences that influence what they write. Others maybe have done research on reports of experiences, and that's where they get some of their ideas. And I'm not saying that in a negative way at all. Because, I mean, I'm a writer. I've done similar things. When they fit, I've used ideas I've heard about or read about, and experiences I've even had. I've sort of based bits and pieces of my writing on my own experiences here and there. So it is a thing that happens when you're writing, I think. So anyway, moving on to the next one here. We'll review one more episode here, and then we'll be done for the night. So let me close this tab and get to the next one. This last one here that we're going to talk about is episode 4 of season 2 of the Twilight Zone. This one is amazing in a way, and you'll see why as I go through this. So it starts with it's all about this gourmet magazine food critic who is basically doing really well for himself at this point in the show. And his name is Bartlett Finchley, so we'll just call him Finchley. At this point, as the show starts, you see that he is lonely, has a bad temper, basically, and the show starts off with him basically insulting or talking down to a TV repairman after this repairman fixes his television, his TV set, and this repairman tells him to stop basically breaking his appliances over and over again, and especially over just mild malfunctions. And Finchley basically doesn't want to hear that because he feels like at this point all those machines that surround him. Now this is pre-computers, as far as there were most people did not have any kind of computers at the time, let alone internet. But he is feeling at this point in the show, as it starts, that machines are evil and that they're all conspiring against him. So of course, Finchley doesn't want to hear anything that this repairman has to say. So, and he's getting more and more paranoid about the technology around him, and it's seeming to act up more and more as well. So then you have to wonder, is it his own energy that is causing it to do that, or is it some other consciousness? But he basically still just has a terrible temper and is really not nice to anyone, including all the people around him, including his secretary, who basically has enough and quits. So after this happens, his typewriter starts to work on its own, and it on the paper that's still in the typewriter from when the secretary left, it types on its own, and it says, "Get out of here, Finchley." It says, "Get out of here, Finchley," over and over again on its own. And so it really is wild, because this is, again, there's no internet that you could sort of possibly hack into the technology and make it do things. And at the same point, the TV turns on and starts showing a regular TV show, but the woman on the screen in this regular TV show starts saying the same thing: "Get out of here, Finchley." And he flees the room and just slams the door shut behind everything. So he goes upstairs to his room and to his bathroom and is going to shave. And his electric razor, which is on a cord, somehow lunges at him before, or without him controlling it, without him even holding it. And so of course he drops that and leaves the room. And he gets a phone call on his phone and hears many voices on the phone, again repeating that message, saying, "Get out of here, Finchley." And he eventually rips the phone out of the wall. And so he goes outside and hears a siren approaching the area. And he finds that his car had rolled down the driveway and nearly hit someone. And and of course the police want to know what's going on and why it did that. And they figure the brakes in the vehicle, I guess would be the emergency brake, I believe, must have gone out or not been turned on. And basically the policemen there tell Finchley off about not having it set in place for safety. And Finchley tells everyone off, basically, and passes out. And when he wakes up, all the machines start up again. And the machines, the phone, the TV, well, not the phone, because the phone's been unplugged, the TV, the typewriter, all those things start to repeat their message of "Get out of here, Finchley." And as he's backing out through his house, he looks at the stairs and sees, and this is sort of corny in a way, but it's also wild if you just think about it, the electric razor starts coming down the stairs like a snake toward him. And he even hears, almost like it's a speaker, he hears the same voices from the TV coming through the razor somehow, telling him to get out of the house. So he does get out of the house, and he, as he's leaving, his car starts to move on its own as well. And I'm running out of time here, so we're going to wrap this up pretty fast. The show ends with the car chasing him, and until it chases him into a pool. He falls into a pool and ends up dying in the pool. And so the car, I can't remember if, yeah, no, never mind. The car doesn't go in there with him. But the police pull him out, and no one knows, no one can figure out how he died, or again, why his car is sitting right there by the edge of the pool. And they can't figure out also how he managed to sink and stay in the bottom of the pool until he died without any weight on him. And so that's where the show ends. And so it's all about technology. And this one man's hate for it and distaste for it, possibly leading to it sort of turning on him and leading to his death. So that's the whole episode, and it's very well done. Of course, no one else around him is aware or has any of these experiences with the technology themselves. But it still, in the end, leads to him dying in the show. So you have to wonder again: how much of that is his own mind? If I could talk, his own energy. How much is another consciousness or other beings sort of capitalizing on what was going on there? And of course, we hear reports of that technology acting up around people. And sometimes it seems to be the people, and other times it seems to be other consciousness. So anyway, that's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsidoparanormal. Take care.